Beautiful souls, I hope you're all having a great day. Another week has passed, leaving us once again with so much to discuss and so many questions to answer and lots of new predictions to top off today's show. We are closing in on the new moon in Scorpio coming up on the 20th, just a few days away. And while this energy shift that we have been in for quite some time begins to wind down just a bit, but just as Spirit warned, the sun up above, sure has been pounding the heck out of the Earth and the solar system over the past week. Actually, since the 11th, to be exact. And you're likely feeling it, perhaps over the past weekend, Sunday, Monday, maybe even, feeling Saturday, Sunday, and yesterday, Monday. Perhaps feeling a bit lazy or a little bit more laid back than usual. Yeah, that's an effect of the sun flares, and there's a lot more effects that the sun flares and this new moon's going to have on us that I'm going to go through with you today in details, and you're not going to want to miss it. Now, my visions of seeing cities going dark, along with November's prediction of major outages that we would see, first hit really hard for the people in Mexico. On the 11th, friends, 11/11 at 11:11 a.m. or p.m. or whatever it was, p.m., I forget. But it was 11/11 at 11:11. And many cities in Mexico went dark. Today, there's a major server outage affecting Amazon, Meta, X, just again as I predicted. Also in Mexico, they are filling another one of my predictions and visions for November. Thousands of people taken to the streets. And they also took to the president's compound demanding change from the corruption and the cartel control over Mexico. Well, friends, that change is coming. It's coming in more ways than one. United States is now on the edge of military action in Venezuela, maybe even Colombia as well. While over there in Bangladesh, did you see the chaos that broke out in Bangladesh in the streets and the protests and more like riots? The Great Awakening. The Great Awakenings are happening, friends, and it's going to be beyond interesting in the coming weeks and when we enter into 2026. But this year is about to go out with many big bangs. People are stepping up now. People are stepping up, and they're saying, enough is enough. And enough is enough. I think you'd agree with that. I have more information for you today, around that culling of the ostriches, those poor innocent creatures, and why maybe it really was done. What are they hiding? Well, they can't hide it anymore because I'm going to reveal that truth today. And some evidence that why you should, why they would want to push such a crude act and such a crude agenda on innocent little animals and creatures. Now, the state of Florida, and now also Texas, have passed a law. This is a great law, friends, allowing gold and silver to be used in making purchases. Will others follow? I know Arizona just followed with the gold notes. So it's going to get interesting. I did say a while back, years ago, that gold is going to be, the precious metals will be what needs to back up the money system and the monetary system. And I told you that we would eventually see the release of those Epstein files, which we haven't seen much other than these 20,000 emails that they released. And there's much more to come. But, these emails have people confused. Like that one that states that someone blew the whistle on Bubba, if you know what I'm saying here. Could it actually be true? Could it be Clinton? If not, who the heck is Bubba? You're going to be surprised, actually very surprised by the information that I've received on the wind blowing on Bubba. So stay tuned. You're going to want to hear about that. Also today, did you know Apple's new iPhone is coming marked with the digital ID? Friends, the mark of the beast is here. And I'll show you about that today as well. The United States ban on hemp, Iran's water crisis, and the coming water wars that I predicted about 3 years ago. Cartel wars, more explosions, and more new predictions to feed your prediction addiction. On this episode number 192 of Tuesday's Teatime, baby. I hope y'all are having a good day along with having a great past week, and I welcome you all back to the Love Shack, baby. So have you been feeling say, a little off lately, maybe more tired, more emotional, maybe even more intuitive than usual. Well, there's a reason for this, friends. There is a very good reason for this. And it's coming straight from the sun itself, friends, straight from the sun itself. Over the past week, we have truly dealt with some intense energies flowing in from outer space. The sun, and that third eye atlas, and I do call it third eye atlas because it's basically what it's doing, exactly what Spirit told us would play out in November's forecast, if you remember in my predictions for November. It has been doing exactly what Spirit told us was going to happen, beginning on November 11th. Spirit told us November 11th, watch for the sun flares, watch for the sun activity. That's exactly what's been happening. It's just becoming more and more intense with the largest solar flares in decades. Now, by November 12th, the geomagnetic energy was almost off the charts completely, friends. And I do mean almost off the charts completely. The largest CME coronal mass ejection from the sun, and they say 70 years. Now, that is pretty intense, friends. Pretty intense. Now, let's dive deep into the real effects that solar flares do have on the human body, because they do. Our human body, the emotional field, our technology, perhaps our weather patterns, and yes, even perhaps the tectonic plates beneath our feet. It affects everything. I've been telling you that for quite some time. So what do solar flares, what are they actually doing? Well, solar flares are massive bursts, for those that don't know, massive bursts. And you can find Stefan Burns online. He talks about all this. He's the expert. But they're massive bursts of electromagnetic energy thrown out by the sun. When they hit the Earth, they shake up our entire magnetic field, bring about the solar northern lights in places that we don't usually see them and so forth, which we also saw play out over the past week. And whether you realize it or not, you feel it. You're definitely feeling it. Think of the Earth's magnetic field like this giant energetic shield. When the sun hits it with a burst, it ripples, like throwing a little rock in the water. And those ripples influence everything living within inside that lake, within inside that water, or inside the Earth, of course. So how does this affect us? Well, there's really interesting things, and this is where things get really, really interesting. People all over the world report the same symptoms during solar activity, whether it be head pressure, ringing in the ears, emotional waves, anxiety 1 minute, clarity the next minute. You may feel exhaustion, the sudden exhaustion followed by sudden bursts of energy, or all of a sudden you're up cleaning out closets and such. You may notice vivid dreams. Some people have restless sleep. Some people experience heart palpitations, feeling a little spacey or disconnected, or like time is moving in a weird direction. Have you noticed that? I have. Heightened intuition and psychic impressions. And guess what, friends? Science backs all this up. Science backs up, well, part of this anyway. Our brain and our heart both operate on electromagnetic frequencies. So when the Earth field is disrupted, of course, your personal field is going to be disrupted too. It's just common sense. Common sense. Now, the heart and the nervous system response, studies show that geomagnetic storms can affect the heart rate variability, can affect our blood pressure, melatonin levels. That's why some people have problems with sleep and such. Stress hormones, sleep cycles. So if you've been feeling like this and feeling like your emotions are right on the surface of the water, or like your nervous system is overstimulated, friends, I tell you, you are not imagining this. You are definitely not imagining this. Your body is reacting to the cosmic weather that's happening in our solar system right now. Big time. And they can also affect the Earth. Solar flares don't just affect people. They affect everything on the planet, everything. Like a ripple effect. The planet is the pond the ripple effect takes place on when you throw the rock in. So when these waves hit, we often see disruptions in communication systems, which we saw, I think, coming out of Alaska. There were big problems and disruptions with radio signals. GPS glitches. Airlines end up having to reroute for whatever reasons. Power grid instability. We saw on 11/11 the big power outages that happened in Mexico. The auroras show up in places, again, they normally never appear, which was in my predictions and which we saw again play out since the 11th of the month. The Earth responds physically and energetically every time the sun shoots those flares in our direction. There is some deep spiritual and energetic meaning behind this too, because during solar flare activity, people often report, and I'm sure you probably may be one of those people, big breakthroughs that happen, emotional purging where you're suddenly crying or what have you, relationship tensions, sudden intuitive downloads where you kind of just know something, but you don't know how you know, but you just know. Yeah, they're intuitive downloads. Feeling called to change something big in your life. Maybe ending a relationship. And then there's this sense of awakening or ascension. Solar energy is activating, friends. And it brings things to the surface, both personally and for the collective. These flares are not just cosmic events, friends. They are literally catalysts. Catalysts. I can talk today. So if you have been feeling emotional, tired, overstimulated, or unusually intuitive, picking up on things you don't normally pick up on, you are syncing with the rhythms of the sun. Exactly what we need. You're not going crazy, I assure you. Well, maybe some people are, but you're not because you're here today. So you're definitely not going crazy. You're becoming more attuned. The earth is shifting. You're shifting with it. Human consciousness is shifting with it. And every flare, every wave of energy is a part of that acceleration. So I tell you, friends, as I've been telling you forever, stay grounded, stay aware, and stay tuned. Because the sun has a lot more to say in the coming near future. A lot more to say. This is just the beginning of our ascensions. And I told you solar maximum was coming in November. It's here. And it's going to continue into 2026. I share all this important information today with you on the effects of the sun and how it has effects on all of us and on the earth, mainly because, again, there's so much more to come in the way of solar maximum. Unlike anything that we have seen so far. So it's going to get really interesting. Spirit also informed us, if you recall, that 3-eye atlas, or what I like to call third eye atlas, would assist in bringing new light codes in, which is basically like those intuitive downloads. Light codes are literally computer programs for our soul and for our brain. So you're likely experiencing some type of ascension symptoms and have been over the past week, or at least since the 11th and 12th of the month. All sun flares began occurring, if you remember, as third eye atlas or 3-eye atlas passed around the sun. No coincidence there, friends, especially since Team Spirits told us that that was going to be the case. It played out exactly how I said it in the November forecast and predictions. And I'm calling it third eye atlas mainly because that's obviously what it's here to do. It's here. It's the 3 and it's the eye, the third eye. I mean, think about it. 3-eye, third eye. No coincidence there. This is a huge opener for your third eye chakra located right here, the pituitary gland. That's where all your intuition lies. That's where it all reflects. So I hope you took advantage of my 11:11 meditation that I put out. And if you did not take advantage of it, there is still time to utilize that meditation in the 11:11 portal. So step into that portal, friends. Shed the weight and allow yourself to receive even more downloads through that meditation. We're also in this intense window of our final energy shift of 2025 in the Mercury retrograde. Not to mention, and that's playing out over the next few days, not to mention the other planets that are in retrograde, many other planets in retrograde, and a powerful time that we are in indeed, friends. It's all beginning to wind down just a little bit. And in a few days, on the 20th, when it winds down, it's going to wind back up because we have the new moon in the sign of Scorpio, bringing in yet another boost to our intuitive abilities. Do some meditation on the 20th. Do some ceremony. Light some candles. Do some magic. Because this is one of the most intense new moons of 2025. Because Scorpio doesn't create gently. It destroys in order to transform. It exposes what is hidden and pushes humanity into truth. This specific new moon and the first Scorpio new moon, after Uranus finishes its final sweeping years in Taurus, this is like the first one since then. That's powerful, friends. which means the collective is already primed and ready to go for this deep structural change that's happening all around us and even within us. The new moon is also a very mystical new moon, a mystical new moon of transformation and psychic clarity. It also closes a long emotional cycle that began earlier this year, and it marks off the spiritual rebirth of the collective soul. Expect purging. Expect there to be purging endings, rebirth, and revelations, both personally and globally. It's going to get interesting, friends, for real. I mean, it already is. It already is. So how will this affect us personally? First, it's really raining out hard here today. It was cold in the Love Shack. I actually went from the air conditioner to bringing in the little heater. So anyway, how is this going to affect us, this new moon in Scorpio? It's likely going to ignite these sudden emotional purges. It opens up our subconsciousness like a vault. You may experience sudden crying, old traumas that resurface or surface for the first time, intense dreams, spikes again in your intuition, and even these deep shifts in your sexual energy. That's Scorpio for you. Scorpio rules taboos, secrets, intimacy, death, rebirth, and power. All the things that we usually suppress, of course. You're not suppressing them in the coming weeks, that's for sure. Now, many of you feel done with the old versions of yourself. Could you agree with me on that? Let me know in the comments. Aren't you done with this old version of yourself, ready to cut the old ties and break patterns backed by some motivation and motivation to really reinvent yourself? Yes, this is the time, friends. This is the time where you may likely get called to a higher purpose. This is a time when people may initiate major changes, such as breaking addictions, ending toxic cycles or toxic relationships, or stepping into new leadership roles. We need some good new leadership roles to take place, for sure. You can agree with me on that one. You will also probably experience in the coming weeks a lot of deja vu, premonition dreams that you may have, or prophetic dreams, telepathic communication, and sudden intuitive downloads. Topped off with, of course, more light codes, making these coming weeks a very powerful window of ascension. We're not through the month yet. There's still a few weeks left. Powerful window of ascension. Are you ready and willing, friends, to do the work in order to ascend? Some of that work is just allowing these things to come to surface. Tapping into that intuition, staying grounded, meditating, and simply the willingness. I am willing and ready to ascend. Put that intention out each and every day. And at the same time, be sure to set your intentions for this coming new moon. I would tell you to set your intentions when it comes to things like transformation, rebirth, personal empowerment, financial regeneration, and deep emotional healing. And, of course, your psychic development. It's a great time for psychic development, for sure. So be sure to take advantage of that psychic development period. Again, meditation is the key. People ask me all the time, how do I do it? Meditation and dedication. The new moon would be the perfect time to take a purification bath using some sea salt, some Epsom salts, and some oils such as frankincense and myrrh would be my recommended. A little lavender to help bring peace of mind. This new moon in Scorpio influence brings with it exposure to major political secrets. We love that, right? Big scandals. Love a good scandal as long as we're not involved in it. Major leaks. And my favorite part is the hidden documents that will be revealed. And I will tell you much more than just, it's going to be a lot more than just the Jeffrey files, if you know what I mean. Something else is going to rise to the surface, friends, I assure you. And that could actually be even more shocking than the Jeffrey files. Shocking as it feels more like a leak to me that something the cabal would rather us not know about, them, personally. Of course, those Jeffrey files are part of it. But I feel there's something else, something even bigger. Can you imagine that? So we've got to hold on to our seats. This coaster's about to take off. Their coaster's it's going to be a roller coaster ride for them. It's going to be a big show for us. We're going to see truths about political figures emerging, along with the corruption and financial cover-ups being exposed. Governments and institutions are going to hit hard. They're going to get hit really hard with truth bombs. That's always fun. We love a lot of truth, don't we? We may also discover hidden money, hidden money, corruption around banks. And I see a lot of volatility around cryptocurrencies. A lot of volatility, a lot of downs more than ups. So expect to see many leaders stepping down. Resignations, as I've been predicting throughout the year, but now we're in that window again, and we've seen so many already, but I see many leaders in resignations, and I feel that we're going to see a sudden health crisis that's going to involve some type of politician. So who do you think it could be? King Charles? President Trump? I don't know. I want you to let me know down below in the comments, though. Who do you think what leaders could be having a major health crisis in the near future between now and the end of the year? There's going to be 3. Spirit says 3. Now, the new moon in Scorpio is a cosmic reset that we have all been sitting back waiting for, friends. Not the cabal's cosmic reset, our cosmic reset. The moment where all the things that have been hidden come up. They begin to come up. The hidden things come up. What's been stagnant finally breaks open. And what has been false completely burns away. Wonderful. This is not a Gentile new moon phase. It's a transformational new moon phase. So use it, friends. Use it to rebirth yourselves because the world is about to rebirth us as well. Beautiful souls, beautiful tribe. I just want to welcome you back to the Love Shack. My name is Joseph Tittel, spiritual medium, aka Spiritman JT. If you're new here, you want accurate predictions, truth, prophecy, great content, great meditations, and you want to vibe with this awesome tribe, be sure to smash that subscribe. The bell and all so that you get notifications to know that I am here every week on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, depending on where in the world you live. And just a note for next week, I will not be here next week. I may have content up, and hopefully I'll have my December forecast available sometime next week, but I will be incognito on holiday. So keep that in mind. Save your comments. Where's tea time? There will not be a tea time next week. Just saying. If there's an emergency broadcast that needs to happen, then maybe it'll happen from where I'm at, but I will not be here at all. Also, I want to thank all the supporters, whether you're a member of the monthly supporters on YouTube, whether you're a member of the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community and a contributor to this channel. I am extremely grateful to you with infinite love and gratitude for making this free content possible for everybody else. Please do give a thumbs up, hit that love thumbs up button. Take a moment to do that. It gets this content out to more, and it will show the algorithms on YouTube that you want more of this content. Whether it's from me or similar channels with the similar content. That's how you find new people. Good people, spiritually grounded people. Hit that thumbs up, friends. Hit that thumbs up. Also, sign up for the free newsletter down below. Really important there. The newsletter goes out at the end of the month for the coming month, and it'll be the last newsletter of the year, I believe. So check that out. I'll also be preparing for a special broadcast for my supporters and for those who want to sign up as support for 2026. It'll be a full forecast and predictions separately, and that will only be available to supporters. Whether you're a member of Subscribe Star, whether you're a supporter on YT, or whether you purchase it, the information will be available in the next newsletter. So be sure to check that out. Open up the newsletter down below. You'll see how to sign up at the top corner. Sign up. Make sure that you confirm your email, because you'll get an email confirming your email. And always check your spam folder if you don't see it by the 1st of the month. Other than that, friends, let us move on with episode 1. Oh, yeah. Did I forget something? I don't think I forgot something. Yeah, let us move on to episode 192 of Tea Time, baby. I'm having myself some of my favorite tea. I hope you're having some tea time, because it is tea time indeed. If it's late where you're at, you might want some chamomile tea to help you sleep tonight. Or Blue Lotus, that works really good for sleep too. First on the agenda today, or shall we say second or third, because we talked about the sun flares and the new moon coming up, my visions of seeing cities go dark, along with November's prediction of major outages that we would see this month, has actually been hitting really hard. First, for the people in Mexico, as many of their cities did indeed go into the dark. I think it was 3 cities in all. The strange part about this was the cities of Mexico went dark on November 11th at 11:11 during that 11:11 portal. No coincidences there, friends. Definitely no coincidences there. And I feel that this was done from the inside, like an inside attack meant to be a test from the Mexican government. No coincidence, soon after the chaos erupted in Mexico. Soon after the blackout, the chaos erupted in Mexico, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But what cities could be next? It's easy, for me at least, to predict that major outages are coming from Venezuela, Colombia, and a lot more in Mexico. And I feel none of us are really going to be safe when it comes to blackouts in the future. Not just in the coming month, between now and the end of the year, but in the coming years. Especially big cities who may be much harder on their power grids than usual. That has a lot to do with those data centers. Come winter, when major cold and storms roll in, we're going to see outages in the northern parts. Northern Canada, Alaska, northern United States, northern China, northern Japan, and many others. We're going to have a lot of problems with cold and snow in those areas. That's going to take out a lot. And again, I do feel that these data centers are strongly affecting the grid. Strongly affecting it. This would make you think, why would they not roll out free energy? Because we know they have it. Why don't you roll it out, and utilize it, at least for us in these data centers? We wouldn't have no problems or outages ever again. Another huge outage, which I predicted, was for social media platforms. If you remember, I predicted that X would be one of them. I predicted Amazon would be another. Well, this morning, a major outage occurred with the Cloudflare servers, which crashed really hard, affecting some internet. As I warned weeks ago was going to take place, did I not? I warned weeks ago. It affected X, ChatGPT, Amazon, PayPal was out, Meta was having problems, and many, many large websites were having problems. And I warned that major website outages would be affected this month by down servers in my November predictions. These cloud servers, like this Cloudflare or whatever, they're dangerous, friends. They take up way too much power, way too much energy, and they are very easily hackable. Obviously, this was hacked. I guarantee you. The main reason we should all resist from their digital currency rollouts, because your money can disappear like that, snapping the mic, like that, friends. Much quicker and much easier to take possession of your money when you're not holding it in your own personal possession. That's why I tell you, precious metals, friends, and survival stuff. And I cannot help but to feel that this was some type of a cyber attack orchestrated by both China and North Korea was my feelings on this. And I warned that we would see cyber attacks and outages both. They are calling this the biggest outage in recent years. I don't know how recent years, but that's what the articles are saying. This outage did not just affect United States. It was a global outage. Flare cloud's huge, gigantic. And I feel like this was a global test. That's more like what this was, global test. Remember, Klaus Schwab warned us that a major cyber outage will be the downfall, worse than the pandemic. Remember him saying that? The WEF knows. The WEF's in on it. They're in on it. So we are in store for more serious outages and outages that are going to last multiple days, not just short term. I see outages happening around Starlink, which stinks because I have Starlink. I have continued to have visions even after the cities going dark in Mexico. I see cities still going dark and even suburban areas being in the dark. So it's not just the cities, it's the suburban areas. And I feel we are going to soon see another sabotage of internet cables and some type of sabotage around power grids as well. I had a vision of a main wire that comes out of a power station, I guess the main wire, the main system, and I saw somebody shooting at it with a pow-pow. Then I saw in my vision sparks fly up, and then I saw everything in the background of my vision go dark. So I'm not sure what country I'm in, But a pow pow event. It could be right here in the United States, actually. And maybe even our friends in the United Kingdom. It feels to me like, remember, I talked about multiple ally attacks on the United States and allies. And we know that this is coming from, the Islamic radicals and a little bit of China and North Korea, probably backing them up with this. I also see issues around power outages hitting the United Kingdom. Another one I see in Paris. And I see some type of outage that's going to happen and affect Dublin, Ireland. Our friends in Dublin. That feels very temporary, by the way, so don't worry, it's temporary. Just be prepared for temporary blackouts. Temporary could last a day or two, too. Keep that in mind. And I feel that there's a black swan event on our doorsteps. And part of this event is going to include major cyber attacks and outages. From Apple outages to power outages, from A to P. I couldn't think of a Z, but all of the above. So if you have not done some type of preparation, friends, for any sort of outages, I would tell you now is a very vital time to do so. Get yourself, if you can afford a little generator or a little, if you have electric stoves, get yourself, make sure you have if you do have a gas stove, make sure you still have a lighter and matches to ignite it, because the click that turns on your gas stove is electric. So when your electric goes out, your stove will work only if you light it yourself. Maybe a little cooking stove, like a camping cooking stove. They're inexpensive. You can get one of them. Candles, flashlights. And we're going into the cold months. It's cold here now already. I can't believe it, actually. It's really cold here. A little odd for this time of year in Arizona. It's not freezing, but it's still cold. Like I said, I had to bring the heater down into the Love Shack today. What was it, a month ago I was using the air conditioner in here and I was hot, remember? Now it's the opposite. I got to drink tea to keep warm. Lordy, lordy, lordy. And generators. I recommend the solar generators because remember, those gas ones are loud. If you run out of gas and the gas stations are out of power, you can't get gas. So get yourself a nice one. The holidays are coming up. The companies are going to be hurting because people aren't going to be spending. So there's going to be lots of good sales. Lots of good opportunities. Look for those opportunities. Let us move on to the next subject, which is going to be major protests. From Nepal to Mexico, friends, Gen Z is taking to the streets by the tens of thousands to protest against the crime and corruption that's happening all over their countries. It's happening everywhere, every country, crime and corruption. This is the time where it all comes out. It's kind of exciting. It's about time these people get held accountable, and they will. In due time, friends. They are all fulfilling, actually, another prediction that I made in the vision that I had for November, where I stated that thousands of people were going to take to the streets in a crazy way. And they not only took to the streets, they went to the president's compound in Mexico, demanding change. That change is coming, friends. One way or another, it's coming. Now, about a year ago, give or take, I stated that we would see the younger generation stepping out and stepping up to the plate to weed out the negative. Apparently, that's what's happening over there in Mexico. Gen Z's stepping up to the plate. They're a little angry about it, too. They should probably ground that anger. But whatever it takes, let them step up to the plate. And then hopefully the rest of us will follow. But that's exactly what's happening. We're seeing the ascension codes playing out right before our eyes, friends. People are waking up, and they're saying enough is enough. And I just wonder when Americans and Canadians are going to step up to that plate. Likely they will by 2026 for sure. I mean, we had seen some protests going on, but not enough. And I understand why Canadians are afraid. But remember, Trudeau took their money, closed their bank accounts, yada, yada. Now, the folks in Japan, they also have taken to the streets. Similar to the United Kingdom and Ireland, where they are screaming enough is enough with all the illegals and the free handouts that they receive. So go, friends in Japan. Go, Japan. Protests in Nigeria disrupted the opening of a museum. It's kind of an odd one, but major protests. And we see major issues and protests breaking out in India, Bangladesh. And the list will continue to grow, friends, as we all begin to feel that enough is enough with these corrupt governments, corrupt leaders, and these senseless, endless conflicts across the globe. Senseless. And I see more people breaking out in the way of protests and folks stepping up and stepping into their power. And it's likely going to be, again, that Gen Z crowd that steps up to the plate across the globe, followed by the others. And I see some type of protests in front of banks in China, causing the CCP to bring military in again. Remember that happened like a year ago? I see that happening again in China. I also see protests jumping out or breaking out in Tokyo, Japan. I believe this may also be linked to money in the banking system. And soon we're going to see major protests here in the United States once again, especially New York City. And I'm jumping a little ahead here, but I feel that February and March of 2026, it's going to be huge, especially even for New York City. And I think that new mayor takes over in January, so that would make sense. Now, even in Bangladesh, large protests and riots broke out after the tribunals of the ousted prime minister who was sentenced to execution. Just look at the chaos that broke out and the crowds of angry folks wanting to take the law into their own hands. People are angry, especially in this angry energy that's been flowing across our planet this month. That's why I insist, friends, stay grounded, y'all. Stay grounded. Now, I predicted that we would see major attacks on embassies for my 2025 predictions. And going back to Mexico, anti-Israel protesters. So they got all kinds of protests going on there in Mexico. But anti-Israel protesters set the Israeli embassy on fire, injuring 6 people. I feel this is just the sounding alarm, friends. The sounding alarm that marks off many coming attacks on embassies. U.S. embassies, maybe Israeli embassies, and other embassies. So get ready, friends. Get ready to awaken, dear ones, on a whole new level. The United States is now on the edge of taking military action on Venezuela. While also, I feel that Colombia and even Mexico will become part of the chopping block for the United States. It was a few years ago, if you recall, that I predicted that we would see major cartel wars kicking off. Nobody was saying it, but I said it years ago. And it didn't sound plausible back then, but look at what's happening now. It's happening. Big time. I mean, I said that at least 3 years ago. And now we should know that there is more than just taking out the cartel, of course. At least when it comes to Venezuela. There's much more behind that. That's a regime change. But part of this is taking out cartel. Part of it is, just because it goes back to that prediction. And at the same time, we cannot ignore what President Trump just said. Did you hear what he just said? He stated that he is ready and willing to go to Mexico to bomb the cartel targets. Which is going to be really hard for us to do, being that the president of Mexico was, put into place by the cartel. The last election cycle, there were more assassinations than ever in Mexico. And they hold the record. They actually hold the record with 1,271 Mexican politicians taken out since the year 2000. Congratulations, Mexico, you hold the record. And that's approximately, if we add that up, that's about 50 per year. But it was actually the last election that was the absolute worst, where the majority of those 1,271 people were taken out. Let us also not forget that Mexico holds the record for the highest number of journalists that disappeared. Did you know that? And you would think that they would get along really well with Israel. You would think they'd be friends, not burning down each other's embassies. And this is going to get really sour, friends, really quickly with the United States and parts of South America. I had previous visions of explosions along the southern border of the United States, the border of the United States and Mexico. If you remember, going back to the cartel wars, and I had visions of cartel using drones, and this was just recent, actually. I saw visions this morning of the cartel using drones to attack American targets. And somewhere in south of America. And likely, American embassies as well. So some of my visions and predictions, of course, as you know, don't play out for 2 to 4 years. But we are at that point where my cartel wars prediction is definitely coming into fruition. And not only that, people are stepping up and saying, enough is enough. We have had enough with the cartels, drugs, killing our younger generation here in the United States and China as well, because they're in on it. I do see the fentanyl crisis actually getting better and hopefully disappearing at the same time by the time we reach the year 2030. So something's going on with that for sure. It needs to. I also feel that there is some kind of new zombie type of drug that's coming. Different than what we see with these zombie drugs on the streets now, like especially if you look at Kensington, Philadelphia. I see something different that feels worse. And the creepy, scary part of this is I feel that the cartel is going to target a specific city. Perhaps in Mexico, perhaps in the United States, perhaps both. Where I see so many addicts all dropping, all like in the same span of time, like within a couple days. So many that the city has a hard time, rounding up all the, overdoses. And they'll call it an overdose, but I feel like they're all being poisoned. And it could be poisoned through overdose. I don't know what city they're targeting or where this is happening or when exactly, but that was the feeling I got today. It was a bit disturbing, I will agree. And this will, of course, be escalating things when it comes to taking out the cartel. They do that, they're done. That'll be it for president. If they do that in the United States, that'll be it for, I would hope that would be it for Trump and he would go in anyway. But with that new president of Mexico, obviously she's put into place by the cartel, obviously. And the people of Mexico know about it. Moving on, it's so tragic and heartbreaking that what has actually been going on up there with our friends in Canada, very heartbreaking. We talked about it last week or the week before. No wonder that I predicted that Canada, much like the United States, is going to break apart into several unions, separating from each other in the coming decade. That would make sense. Again, people have enough is enough. They don't want to do with that. We want to split away from you, crazy, crazy government people. The tragic story I'm talking about is the culling of the innocent ostriches. And that should be enough to get Canadians to step up to the plate, but very few have. Only a few have anyway. Not cool. Not cool. We should step up and protect the animals, especially, and each other. And what is really the truth behind this culling of these innocent ostriches? I told you last week that I believe, maybe the previous week, that ostrich eggs were critical and important. Remember, the ancient Egyptians held them sacred. I feel like they hold special healing qualities, as I mentioned to you the last time. Well, then I stumbled upon this. And I want you to give a listen to this because this confirms exactly what I had said. And it also confirms the likely reason for the culling of these innocent creatures. Give a listen and listen very closely.
36 plus worldwide patents. This is not new research. And so we started working with him and our herd of ostriches here. And we were looking at developing the alternative to vaccinations, working with natural antibody solutions to create resilience in your own body for virus threats and disease. And we were very successful. So we already had COVID-19. We have scientific proof and data that we were able to neutralize the COVID-19 variants, not block them, actually cure it, neutralize it. And this is all just through lozenges or nasal sprays. And so that was very exciting. But the lab that we were working with at the time actually got shut down. Immediately after all of our robust antibody research results came back in, Frederic Leduc, a lab, Immune Biosolutions in Quebec, got shut down and had to sign an NDA and was no longer allowed to talk to us.
Crazy, huh? That their friends should sum it all up for you folks, all right there. So I say to you, let's hold in the light that they can no longer perform such sacrificial tactics on innocent creatures, including humans. And let us also hold in the light that the globalists can no longer hold back the natural healing that the earth provides and that we all deserve to utilize in our daily lives. The state of Florida, go Florida. DeSantis, man, I want him as a president. I really don't care. Once they get into that spot, it doesn't matter anyway. But Also, Texas, both, everything's bigger in Texas, they say, are now allowing gold and silver to be used to make purchases. And others are going to follow, I assure you. That brings me to something somebody sent me that's cute. And I only just got this. I don't check my post office box as often as I should, actually. This card is the cutest card, by the way, sent to me. But, oh, I didn't see that it pulled out. What is that? Oh. Wait, what happened? I did something. I messed something up. Happy Halloween, your friend April. April is in Ohio. April sent me this cool Halloween card. It's really awesome, actually. It's got a little thing that you can pull out of there and hang up on your wall. Really cool. I love that card. But look at what April sent me. This goes to the gold and silver. Gold back notes. Have you seen these? I got a bunch already. These ones are, what ones are these? These ones are $1, $2, half a dollar, another dollar. Gold back notes. Which state are these from? These are from Florida. There you go. Oh, Florida, Utah, Wyoming. I don't have glasses on. I can't read. Oh, South Dakota. California. Does it say California? No, I'm sorry. Oklahoma. Yeah, California don't have these, I bet. Yeah, all different states, mainly Florida. And I have a bunch of these. And I just read that Arizona's coming out with these, or just came out with these as well. It's basically gold notes. There's supposed to be gold in there. Very limited. Now, what they're charging for these, some places you got to watch because they're charging way more than what the price of gold is. You know, I don't know where April got these, but thank you, April. These are really awesome. Really, really awesome. So thank you for that. And being that we're just mentioning things, I got a lot more to talk about, but being that we're mentioning things that people sent to me, I also got this in the mail from Louisiana. This is from Elaine G. I just thought that you would like this set for your home. You can get frames for them on Amazon, 11 by 14. Some interesting artwork here. One of them I will hang up in here somewhere, like this one. It's Teatime. That's pretty cool, right? There's one without the Teatime. This reminds me of Lady Guadalupe. Is that backwards? It's probably upside down. And this one's really pretty too. So thank you, Elaine in Louisiana. And let us move on. So gold notes, that's a good thing. I saw a video too of this guy that went, I think he was in Texas. And he's like, I want to buy a cup of coffee. Can I use a gold note? And he did. He got to use his gold note. He did some kind of translator to translate the price. So that's where we're heading. I like the gold note thing. Physical money, friends. Physical money. On a separate note, I told you that we would eventually see the release of the Epstein files, which we haven't seen a whole lot. But there was that release of over 20,000 emails that took place. And there's a lot more to come, friends. But these emails, they have people a little confused. Like the one that states that, someone blew the saxophone on Bubba. Someone blew Bubba's saxophone. You gotta laugh at that, friends. Have a sense of humor, MAGA people. Have a sense of humor. Could it actually be true? And who the heck is Bubba? Some say it's, Ghislaine Maxwell's horse. Well, that would be creepy. A little bestiality there. Some say, Bill Clinton was known as Bubba Clinton. You're going to be surprised by the information I received, friends. And take a look at this. When it comes to these intense energies and the craziness that's playing out all around the globe, friends, folks are screaming enough is enough. And I bet President Trump is also screaming enough is enough when it comes to those files, for sure. And I'm referring to the Jeffrey files, of course. Here's the thing. We can look at this in many different lights. I told you, there's a web of darkness, and they're all caught up in it in some way or another, even if they don't realize that they're caught up in it. That's number one. Number two, Trump used to be a Democrat, by the way. And all you hear him say is, it's the Democrats, it's the Democrats, it's the Democrats. Well, he was a Democrat, especially when he was hanging out with Jeffrey. So just putting that out there. I do not feel that Bubba is the horse. And I don't feel like Bubba is Bill Clinton either. That's my feeling. I believe that email is showing code. And I believe Bubba is some type of agenda or some type of something that they did or something. I feel like it's code. It's all code. Does Putin have pictures of Trump blowing the saxophone of Bubba? Yeah. So you can figure that out. Let me tell you, let me know what you think in the comments. Be kind, because again, MAGA people that attack me, it'll be the only attack you get on this channel before you're blocked. I am neutral. I am in the middle. I am independent. And I feel like there's corruption on both sides. It doesn't matter. But let's look at the Democrats for a minute. They had years to release all this. People keep forgetting that when Jeffrey was arrested and allegedly, axed in prison, which I told you he's not. He is very much alive and well. They got him out of there. I bet you DT probably might have wanted him out. But this was all under DT's watch, the first run, his first term. And then the Democrats had 4 years to manipulate everything. Both sides got to manipulate everything. And I get this feeling they're going to redact so much. And do you remember Virginia Godfrey? Wasn't that her name? That they said unalived herself, which we know isn't true. Go listen to what she said. She said what I said prior, that they got him out of there. He's definitely not deceased. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But I feel like the whole Bubba thing is actually a code word for some type of, orchestrated thing that they were doing, and a little bit of sense of humor. I don't feel like that actually happened the way they say it happened. That's just my feeling. And if any pictures came out, I wouldn't necessarily believe them either. You know what? And I don't care. If the president did blow on Bubba's saxophone, at least they're adults. They can do whatever they want in their own free time. Who cares? Who cares? What I do care about is these adults that, do things to little ones. That's what I care about. So let him blow the saxophone all he wants, as long as it's an adult and it's consensual. Doesn't matter. It's the little ones we need to protect. All those people, and you saw the video of all the women that stepped up that were, abused by that cycle of darkness. So a lot more is going to come out with that, friends. A lot more is going to come out. And here's what I can't wait to comes out is the videos. Remember, I told you years ago when this all was happening that there's videos, secret videos, tons of them. Tons and not even pictures, videos. That's what I want to see released. Somebody's sitting on that information. That information is going to come out eventually. Might be a few years, but it's going to come out. And I see, Spirit showing me visions of all the stuff blacked out on the papers that they're going to release. So they're going to, protect all their friends, of course. And remember what Spirit says, nothing is as it appears to be. I learned that decades ago. Spirit told me that. Nothing is as it appears to be. So don't feed into it. Use your intuition. And remember, in my feelings is it's all just one big uniparty. They're all in on it, even if they don't know they're in on it in some form or another. In on the darkness, not necessarily on the Jeffrey files. Let me rephrase myself there. But they're all in on the darkness. They weave themselves into that web, whether they want to. Once they get into that web, the spider grabs them and locks them all into place. Interesting times we're in, isn't it? Really interesting times. Did you see, on a different note, Apple's new iPhone digital ID? Yep. They're going to push it on us in the United States one way or another. You got the real ID here in the United States, which has a little digital chip behind that star in the corner of your license or ID. It's a tracker. I saw someone take one apart, and they showed you the tracker behind the little star. Same with your passports. There's a tracker in there, too. But now, if you have an iPhone, yeah, there's going to be a tracker in that. Well, there already is, but now there's the digital ID in your iPhone, where iPhone's going to allow you to put your passport and all your information into your phone. Now, right now, they're allowing you to do it, willingly and freely, but soon you'll be required to do it. Just saying. The mark of the beast is here, friends. They're already putting the chip underneath their hand. I showed you videos on that before. Crazy times indeed. Did you also see why everybody was looking at over here, the Senate and people in the Senate were putting a big ban on hemp products in the United States? Now, I could see monitoring it and such and putting certain levels on things because, I've even seen it once in a dispensary where they had the cans of drink and it was like 100 milligrams or whatever of THC. I'm like, that's insane. Like, that would kill me. Especially now because I don't utilize that at all anymore. But, yeah, could you imagine? So they definitely need to bring that stuff down. But to put a whole ban on it, keep your eyes open for that. Because remember, Big Pharma's behind that one, I can assure you. Because they're going after CBD. CBD is a healing. I take CBD oil. I actually grew my own CBD plants to make my own CBD oil, which is pretty much almost completely THC free. Not enough, you'd have to do a lot of CBD oil to get anything out of it. I think you could drink the whole bottle and not even feel it. That's a crisis. Another crisis that's happening is the water crisis that's happening in Iran. And I just heard about that. I don't have really many details, but I just wanted to bring that up because I said years ago that we would see big water wars taking place in the future. And I believe that's coming. And I believe part of what's happening in the Middle East with the coming conflicts has a lot to do with the water. I remember I also talked about the Euphrates River. I saw a dam being bombed or blown up, and I feel like that's connected to Turkey. This is coming back to my memory, so I think that would be approaching by next summer, probably by next summer. I also see problems between Pakistan and India when it comes to water. So the water wars are on, friends. They're on, whether we see it or not. It's kind of like the cartel wars. It's on. It's on. There were also a lot more explosions that took place. Remember I told you there'd be lots of explosions in November and things blowing up. And I forget, I didn't put them in my notes of what they were, but I do have them in my pictures here. What blew up? Lordy, lordy. First, in Alabama, there was a huge explosion. They say it's a natural gas treatment facility. That was one of them. What was the other one? There was another big explosion. Where the heck was that? I'm sure someone will say it in the comments. I thought I had it here. I don't have it here. Darn. Where was it? There was also this one, too. There was this one here in South Korea. South Korea, huge place exploded and is on fire. I mean, like huge. Look at the size of that fire. Gigantic. That was another one. Remember, we're in that explosive energy. So we're going to see more explosions and things blowing up. Let's just hope they're not terror or fear-related types of attacks. We don't want that. We don't want anything like that. Shall we move on now to some predictions? Some more predictions for you. Because I feel that we are going to see and experience a ton of issues around digital systems. Problems that disturb finances, financial markets, and financial institutions. I also see a problem, likely an outage of some sort, hitting the stock market. I saw the stock market go dark in my vision, as if the markets go offline completely, temporarily too. But I feel like that was an interesting vision I wasn't expecting. I don't have a date for you, but a timeline would be now through, say, March, the end of March 2026. Something with the stock market going dark. Another one I see is warfare. Warfare is going to shift to digital attacks. See, we see missiles and all this, but I see digital attacks happening, where we're about to see a record amount of hacking and a record amount of cyber attacks. Now, many governments will cover this up and not tell you. But remember, our intuition's, high now. Listen to your gut. Because many of these cyber attacks and hacking are going to target financial institutions and large corporations such as Amazon or food providers especially. Take down their computer systems so they can't deliver food or get food out. So again, always be stocked up and ready. I see major issues coming for artificial intelligence in their cloud systems, like we saw with this whole Cloudflare, Flare Cloud, or Cloudflare, or whatever it's called. They're going to become very fragile. They already are. We've seen this again today with this big outage. There's a lot more to come with that. These cloud systems are not safe. They want us to think they are, but they are not. I feel that we are going to see money that has been hidden and squandered coming to the light. This is a time of exposure, friends. That exposure includes the corrupt who took advantage of hiding money, hiding funds. Ukraine would be one of them. But also leaders here in the United States. And the corruption of money in many countries. Japan, Israel, Australia, the United Kingdom, and many others. So get ready for big exposure when it comes to hidden monies. and squandering of monies. I feel soon that we are going to see shocking events around leaders stepping down. Now, I said this in my predictions for the year, but I feel like we're winding down to this intense period of leaders stepping down. And I feel this sudden, shocking resignation of a leader. That could be due to the Jeffrey files, come to think of it. Like, why all of a sudden this shocking resignation? Like, whoa, why are you resigning? That's weird. Kind of like that. There's likely going to be multiple. Perhaps Mexico or India. We'll have to wait and see. That's between now and year end. Now, I also feel that soon major health issues are going to become exposed and obvious around several big leaders. One likely is going to be something around President Trump's health. Another is going to be the leader of China, and several more to come to the surface before this year closes out. Now, another really important one is I feel that there's going to be a huge underwater volcanic eruption in the near future. Now, I saw this in visions in the past, but it came on to me very strong today. I've been seeing this for quite a while, and I feel like it's about to blow. With the Scorpio and the Scorpio representing pressure and such, it would make a lot of sense. Because the Scorpio coming new moon, it's vital, friends. It's vital because Scorpio is associated with pressure and it's associated with underground forces. So expect coming earthquakes, of course, even though the activity with earthquakes has died out the past week. Surprise, shocking to me. It's usually the opposite. We're in an energy shift. But here's something I noticed in the past year or so. Usually it's during this window of energy shifts 3 times a year that these quakes happen. But I've noticed that in the past year or so, it's right after we come out of these shifts that it happens. So that's going to be like the end of November into December, where we see major things happening. But I would say even from the 20th or even the 19th, tomorrow, moving on forward to the end of the month with the Scorpio new moon, that 2-week window, the next 2 weeks is really prominent. I'd say the next 16 days. So I see more great flooding events that are also going to come rolling in within the coming weeks. So again, friends, never be scared. Always be prepared. Now, I also feel that we are going to see many data breaches between now and the end of this year, along with seeing many intelligence revelations. So that's going to be really interesting. And we're also, something that we really need to see and that we are going to begin to see is infrastructure vulnerabilities being exposed. I've talked about infrastructure and crumbling infrastructures before, crumbling bridges. So we're going to see this coming to the forefront, the vulnerabilities of it. And what's going to bring that to the forefront? Think about that for a minute. I would think my vision of seeing somebody shooting at the power grid, that shows the vulnerability right there. So could there be attacks on these things? Power grids, bridges, tunnels, and dams? Maybe even roadways? Oh, that thought just came to my mind too. That there was a train derailment in Poland. Didn't I tell you there was going to be a sabotage of a train? I told you that. Well, that's what happened just in Poland. It was like one of their military trains taking military stuff to Ukraine, allegedly. Yeah, it derailed, and they know it was sabotage. I told you they were going to, and that's Poland. Didn't I tell you Poland was going to get dragged into that conflict one way or another? Unfortunately, short term, but they're going to get pulled into it. So we are definitely in interesting times, but we're in amazing times too. It's not all gloom and doom, friends. Sometimes we got to take the gloom and the doom. You know, people are like, I'm a light worker. Well, you can't be a light worker until you work through the dark first. Remember that. You got to pull through the dark. It's not all about the light. It's about a balance of both the light and dark, the positive and the negative, the yin and yang. We always need to remember that. And we need to remember, too, that all these things need to happen in order to ascend us to the new earth and to the higher vibrations. All this corruption needs to be weeded out. You know, like weeding your garden, we need to pull it all out and throw it in the garbage where it belongs. That's where we're at. That's where we stand. We're in the 9 year of endings and conclusions and cycles coming to a close. Before we step into next year and a whole new cycle of new beginnings. It's going to be a little all over the place in 2026 because that's what the one vibration does, causes people to try to figure things out. But it's still a great vibration that we're heading into. So hold on tight, friends. It's going to get really good. And really challenging for the world, but really good for all of us. So focus on the good, focus on your visions, the new moon's coming. Focus on your intentions of what you are manifesting into your future. Because remember, some people may be running around pulling out their hair, screaming, "Oh my God, the apocalypse is here." And then there's going to be the other ones of us that are sit back watching, saying, "It's a beautiful day. I can't wait till tomorrow. It's going to be even more amazing than today." Which side of the fence do you want to be on? I know what side of the fence I'm on. I hope you join me. And if you're on the other side, climb on over to our side of the fence. Be a part of the tribe. Smash that subscribe, the bell and all so that you get notifications. And please do click that thumbs up love button. And I love each and every one of you. Thank you for hanging out with me. Remember, I will not have a tea time next week. I will likely have content, but I will not have a tea time. I will be on holiday beginning Sunday. So good holiday it shall be. So I wish you all a great week. I hope you have a great week, great dinner with your family, my American friends. Next week, Friendsgiving. That's what one of my friends calls it. Friendsgiving or family giving instead of what we've been lied to about. Because we know what really happened on that horrific day that they call Thanksgiving. And if you don't know, look it up for yourself. But I'm going to leave you with that, friends, for today. Until the next time, friends, much love to each and every one of you and to all the supporters that make this free content possible for everybody else. I thank you with infinite love and gratitude. And remember, to be bold, be true, be kind. Be you, baby. Let your light shine ever so brightly and have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste and much love, friends.